What's up, everyone? It's Phoenix here, bringing you guys another review. I rarely do these things, but I sometimes do these things for movies like I did The Incredibles 2, I did Black Panther, I did Captain Marvel, and I'm starting to get into these movie reviews. I don't review all movies, and I don't necessarily review my favorite movies. All I can say is that you can expect my honest, full opinion, because I don't see the point in telling you guys something that simply isn't true, or simply isn't how I feel about the movie. Because people are gonna see movies, and they're gonna see them in different ways, and they're going to have different opinions about them, and that's just fine. I don't care if you guys have a different opinion over mine. This is simply me sharing my opinion. I'm not going to lead you guys astray to say that some movie is like the most fantastic thing. I'm simply going to tell you how I think it is. And that's what you can expect for this review as well. Also, I got this brand new shirt, Wonder Woman shirt. It's basically a comicized version. Yes, that's a word. of Gal Gadot as a Wonder Woman, and it is so clean, and it's so great. Just look at this. It's a beauty. It's a real beauty. But yeah, I'm wearing a DC shirt for a Marvel review, but I don't have a Marvel shirt, first of all, and second of all, I mean, Captain Marvel only happened because of Wonder Woman. That's not necessarily true, but that's the story that I'm sticking with. Now, I'm not about to compare these two movies, Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel, because each movie stands on its own. Each movie, I can like one movie and not like another movie. Even if they're the same genre, even if they're the same storyline, it's still, it's different experiences. And I'm going to tell you right now, I did not enjoy Captain Marvel. I'm sure you guys have heard lots of rumors about this movie. Whether, it just flat out sucks, whether it's, the deleting of Rotten Tomato reviews, turning it from a 33% to a 55% on Rotten Tomatoes audience score. After seeing so many comic book movies, you start to kind of get this criteria in a way. It's things to expect from a movie. And that can affect how you experience another movie that is like it. And it certainly did for this one. I'm not going to go out and say that Captain Marvel is a terrible movie. It's not. It's not that bad. It's not a terrible movie. Okay? You can go see it and semi-enjoy yourself. But I do warn you, if you're going in there expecting Wonder Woman, expecting like this phenomenal storyline that's lots of action and good acting. I'm just kidding. The acting isn't bad, per se. There's just a lot of... I don't even know how to explain it, necessarily. For one thing, the movie is dragged on way too long. Without getting into any spoilers, there is way too much dialogue, there is way too much talking and doing nothing. There's just a whole lot of nothing, especially in the middle of the movie. Which honestly could have been cut at least 30 minutes. They could have cut at least 30 minutes. Half an hour. It was like a 2-hour movie. They could have at least cut 30 minutes. I even said after the film that they could have cut like an hour out of it. Yeah, a 2-hour movie. They could have cut half of the movie out because half of it was boring. Half of it was really good. The other half, not so much. The saving graces of this movie was not Captain Marvel. I can tell you that right now. The saving graces of this movie was hands down Nick Fury and the cat. And I'm not going to talk about the cat right now because there's some spoilers in there. And I will just say, you do not want to be spoiled about the cat. It is a real treat. So, just be aware of that. If you're going to go see this movie, don't listen to anything about the cat. The cat is the best part of the movie. It has funny moments. It has okay moments. I'm not gonna lie. It has funny moments. But there's also a lot of cringe in between that. There's a lot of moments that are supposed to be funny but aren't. They just die. They just fall flat. I would definitely say that Wonder Woman had a lot better jokes than Captain Marvel did. Now, as you can imagine, I will say this. This is not a spoiler. But I will say the beginning was really touching and really good. The beginning, how they do this intro, where they often have Captain America, they have Hulk, and they have all these Iron Man, and they do the whole Marvel logo thing. Well, instead of that, they had Stan Lee. They had his cameos. They had him with the cast. There was with him with Captain America and and Iron Man, and it was really great. It was a really touching introduction. And it was really good. I don't know if they're going to do that with Endgame as well, but if they do it, I'm sure it would be really good of them to do that again. And I don't know if that was the last cameo. I am not sure if they were able to do Endgame before, obviously Stan Lee is not with us anymore, so I'm not sure if they were able to do Endgame. So, Captain Marvel might have been the last cameo that he had before he died, which is kind of sad to think about that. But there is a Stan Lee cameo in Captain Marvel. I don't know if they did one for Endgame. No idea. We'll find out. But that was a good moment. That was really good. That was a really good way to start off the film. Captain Marvel as a character is okay. I feel like Captain Marvel is trying to be a little too much like Brie Larson rather than her own character. Now, I don't really know much about Captain Marvel, okay? I don't really know her comic book history. I don't really read Marvel. Clearly. But and honestly, I didn't know about Captain Marvel until they decided to do this movie. I mean, I knew the lawsuit and everything. I knew that whole controversy between Captain Marvel and Shazam, but I didn't know Captain Marvel. So it's interesting because I didn't know anything about her story, which is strange because I usually do. So I was pretty much going into this movie blind. I mean, I saw the trailers, but that was it. There were some humorous moments, but I think the good parts about this movie was seeing, Coulson, Fury, and the cat. Those are the good parts of the movie. It's just a lot of it was bland and boring and dragged out unnecessarily so. I also found Captain Marvel to be just a tad bit annoying. Because she was always cracking jokes and whatever. It's it wasn't really necessary to go that hard. I mean, I have a good sense of humor. I think every few moments, you can joke around. And I think that's what makes the movie fun. I enjoyed it when Loki did it in Thor, I think a good humorous character is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But there's a point where it gets a little bit excessive and it no longer is funny. I will say, stay for the end credits. It is a good end credits and you want to see it. It's not a waste of your time. It is a good, especially if you're planning on seeing Endgame, watch the end scene. Definitely watch the end scene. And now, we're going to get into some spoilers here. So, I'm going to move the poster over to my right. Probably your left or whatever. I don't know. I don't know directions. But I'm going to move it over to my right. And when I do, we're going to have some spoilers. So, just to be warned, if you're looking for a non-spoiler review, we are ending the non-spoiler review of this session. But I will give you my rating before we go. I would rate this movie a 5.5 out of 10. Yeah, it wasn't that good. It wasn't good. It wasn't terrible. So I'm going to rate that a 5 out of 10. 5.5 out of 10, I should say. So I never go with whole numbers. Anyways, let's move this over and let's begin the spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, we're getting into some spoilers now. So this is your last chance to click out, get out of here, go watch the movie, and then come back later. Or stick around if you don't want to watch the movie and you just want to hear the spoilers. Stick around because we're going to get into them. So let's do that. The best part of the movie was definitely the cat. The cat was great. I just liked the tentacles and that was a funny moment. And also the fact that, Nick Fury has an eye patch because a cat essentially scratched it. I mean, that wasn't the whole reason, but it was mainly the reason. And I really liked that scene with Phil Coulson and Nick Fury. It was like, that's the story and I'm sticking to it. And it's like, you know what? That is a lot more epic than just saying that you were scratched by a cat. There was too much talking. There was too much talking and nothing happening. Like, it wasn't even, progressive talking. It was just talking about unnecessary stuff. Things that you could easily be showing. Things that it didn't require these, long speeches and long dialogue moments. I have a pretty good standard for a pretty simple standard for comic book movies, and that is I need action. First of all, I need a good story, yes, but I need action. Okay, there needs to be breakups between dialogue and fighting, right? There needs to be some fighting, then dialogue, some fighting, then dialogue. Keep it going. Keep the tension going. Keep the excitement going. Keep me engaged in this movie. I don't mind necessarily if you have a little bit of background in that, in your movie, especially if it's an origin movie, it makes sense. You're setting the ground levels and setting it, and this is my first introduction to this character. Okay? This is my first introduction to this character. You want me to like her, and therefore you want me to like her movie. If the main attraction is outshined by a cat, that tells you something. No, it wasn't just an ordinary cat. But even before the reveal of the cat and what it actually was, it was still better than Brie Larson. It was still better. It still had better moments than Brie Larson. Which is interesting. Now this is coming from a female viewer. I'm 100% female, born female, and so, you know, I'm not being sexist, I'm not being anything, I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying, and I said the same thing for Black Panther, okay? So it's not like I'm being discriminatory. And I've said the same things for even DC movies. Now, I haven't done reviews for DC movies, not really anyways, but I've still said the same things. You know, I'm not going to bend my opinion to please the majority. That's not something that I do. I just give you my straight up opinion. I don't care what you think of it. You might not agree with it, and that's fine. That's why it's called an opinion, because it's optional. But, and you might, call it shallow to say that, the movie has to have action in order for it to be good. But it's a superhero movie. We didn't get to the superhero part of this movie until the third act. And that's a little bit too long. Like, I get it. You're trying to set up this whole background thing, and you're trying to do this and that. And it's just like, just get to the point. I understand. Like I don't need an hour lecture about what your background is. Okay, it doesn't take an hour to talk about this. And, it was kind of predictable at the same time. Like, it was kind of obvious that the person she was seeing had some connection, and it was obviously that she was not human. There were some, predictable moments. But it also just, kept going on and on. And I don't... There's a difference. It just kept going on and on and on. I get it's an origin movie, so it's not necessarily going to be all that exciting. But at the same time, there's been plenty of origin movies that are really good, has that action, still has that story and that background and sets it up and everything, but it still has that draw to it. It's not just talking about your background and taking hours to get to the actual hero part. Wonder Woman obviously had some dialogue about who she was, and there was some dialogue there, and there was some dialogue. There was obviously you're going to have dialogue. That's fine. I'm not saying that you can't have dialogue. I'm saying you have to know when to break it up into sections. Have a bad guy in there, have someone in there to do this thing. And, Wonder Woman, is kind of similar in the way where you didn't have an actual villain until the end, and that's fine. You can set it up that way, but there still has to be some sort of conflict. Wonder Woman was set in the middle of a war, so there was still that conflict between. There were still battle sequences and that were really well shot and really well done. It wasn't just talking, going to a barn and talking, going to the cafe and talking, going to a bar and talking. There was more to it, there was more to it than just talking. And then when we finally got to the superhero part, that was really great. It was really good. It was the best part of the movie. The ending was the better part of the movie. So if you're gonna watch it, honestly, just skip to the ending. I'm kidding. Don't do that. But still, and Black Panther did the same thing. Okay, Black Panther did the same thing, and I critiqued it for that as well. There's just too much talking in these movies. There's gotta be, action in between, so you don't bore your viewers to death by talking about everything. Some of that could have been easily cut out. And it was just... And I wanted to like this movie, okay? I did. I wanted to like this movie. But it just was so boring. It was just so boring. It was just dragged on so long. And at least Black Panther had a little bit more action in between. Just a little bit. I mean, there was also a lot of talking in there. But at least it had something. Like Batman Begins. Take Batman Begins for example. I didn't really enjoy Batman Begins either. Because there was that a lot of talking. However, it was still better because it had a lot of action sequences, and you had the training on the mountain with Ra's al Ghul. Actually, don't remember most of the movie, but you had like this conflict and this ongoing conflict even in between all the talking. And yes, we rehashed the Batman origin. And, that kind of sets it back a little bit because people already know his story. People already know the story. So they don't need it, like, 1,000 times. Thor, had that... Thor didn't have his hammer for most of the movie. However, there's still a lot of action in there. And humorous parts. There was a lot of talking in it, yes. But... there was, like, it was broken up by, like, action sequences and seeing people, like, Loki and everything. Like, there's a way to do an origin story without boring your viewers to death with background and origin and talking. Like, there's a way to do it without it being boring. And Captain Marvel did not do that. Captain Marvel as a character is okay. I think that she can fit well with the Marvel formula. It's just the movie. The movie was bad. The character was fine. I was fine with the character. I was fine with Brie Larson. But the movie, it was just dragged on so long. And it was really predictable. It was really predictable. Like, I mean, the fault of that is also not just the story, but also the casting that they did. With Captain Marvel, who was it? Yeah, Jude Law. Jude Law, he just looks like a villain. Jude Law just looks like a villain. Like, he pulled off Dumbledore, but he just looks like a villain. He just has one of those villain faces that when you look at him, he's a villain. Even when he's Dumbledore, he's a villain. The casting wasn't terrible, though. There were some good casting decisions. Like, I enjoyed Ben Mendelsohn, and I enjoyed Samuel L. Jackson. And I enjoyed seeing Phil Coulson back. I don't know who plays him. Clark Gregg, yeah. That was enjoyable. It was enjoyable to see those scenes. It was enjoyable to... I think what it had going for it was that it was set in the past. So you had all these 1980s references. Because it was set in, like, the 1980s or around that area. So you had, like, blockbuster references, and you had, like, old school movie references, and you had, like, those old song references. So they had that going for it. But it wasn't as fun as something like, World War I or World War II. And obviously it's not fun, but, like, it's more intriguing. It's more, like, what was it like back then? And, what did they go through back then? The 1980s, it's a fun period to think about. And, it was nice to see all that. But it's not going to, like, carry the whole movie. It's not going to suddenly make it better just because it's in the 1980s. I did enjoy the friend. I don't remember her name. Maria. Maria, that was good. She was good. I didn't like, I didn't like Brie Larson in this movie. Like, it wasn't that she was a bad actress. She wasn't. She was good, I think. It's just that some of her line deliveries were cringy. And some of her, like, funny scenes, or were supposed to be funny scenes, weren't funny. But I will say that Captain Marvel as a character is decent. I can see her running with the gang, and the end scene was good. You know, it was nice. It was nice to see her being reunited with the Avengers, to be, you know, having that tease. Now I'm sure they're going to show that again in Endgame because not everyone's going to see Captain Marvel. But at the same time, you know, if you didn't really see it, it's not that big of a deal. So, yeah. It was just dragged on way too long. Just dragged on way too long. But there were some good moments. It just, the pacing needed to be a lot better. Mainly the pacing. Like, I can see this working out for, like, the franchise. But, you know, it's just, I don't know. I will say, some people will definitely like it. It's definitely meant for a specific audience. I'm not really sure what that specific audience is. It's not comic book viewers, because it's not comic book viewers, but it probably has an audience. I'm not saying that it's terrible, but it's not great, and it's not good. Well, some people might say it's good, but it's not great. But it's not terrible. It's like in the middle. It's like mediocre. Like, again, 5.5. It's right in the middle. But I guess that's all I really had to say about it. I don't really, to be honest, I just saw it like a couple days ago. No, I saw it yesterday. And there's like parts of it where I don't even remember. But it was decent. It was okay. But that's all I have to say. Anyways, peace out, guys. It's been a blast.